All right. Good morning, folks, and welcome to the Coffee Run. We're back again. Should have a good straight few weeks here where we're solid again, going 5 days a week. A little bit of travel, as you know, last few. A little bit of weirdness in the schedule, so I haven't been able to do it. There is, I think, a couple days next week where I'm going to be out because of work stuff, big work meetings and that kind of thing. So that said, let's get back into it here, huh? And welcome back. I was telling the folks this morning on the other show on the Daily Paycheck, I got a kind of a sore throat. I was in Vegas for a couple days. We'll talk about that here pretty much most of the morning. It's two airplanes out, it's two airplanes back, it's 55 people at a craps table, it's a birthday party, and it's, John's got a cold, right? No surprise. So apologies for the voice. It's going to be a little cracky for the next couple of days, and hopefully the magic of vitamin C infusions will help me out, right? We'll see how it goes. Anyway, let's get into it here. Glad to be back. A couple of things. I want to remind you again. I'll keep doing this with you of the travel schedule. We'll do a little update on Crash for the Cure. I've got some news, some small news on that. But got to call a couple people out here. Number one, Craig. The D8 table's crushing it. The donations on that are fantastic. We're making a lot of hay and a lot of leeway, or whatever the word I'm looking for is, a lot of runway for Layla's scholarship fund. Now, if you all don't know, and you should by now, what's happening over on the Old Bay Craps channel run by Craig, they're running the D8 perpetual table. He's taken that mantle from Jeff. He's on season 5, I think it is, right, of the table. Anyway. And what they're doing is every time he rolls an 11, they're logging it, and folks are donating money on the 11s, right? And the 11 obviously is famous. We call it the Yo. Our good friend Chiro Mucci from the channel Midmo Yo, he passed away last year. And so we're raising money on that channel through that show to go to his daughter's scholarship fund, which is great. I think that he said, I saw a post yesterday, they raised another $500. Just filling that fund up. It's great. I think she said there's like more than $3,000 or whatever in there. And I want to make this clear too. My kids had that same thing. It was it's called a 529 specialized college account. Basically what it does is you're kind of pre-buying college credits at today's rates, right? So let's say it's $150 a credit for a college course, right? You're buying them right now. And then what happens is when she's 18, so in 12, 13 years, when the credits are $350 a piece, we've already prepaid for like whatever, 90 credits. So she'll be able to get through 4 years of school pretty much on a $10,000 starting set, right? So we can get her account stuff to 10K, bam, basically pays for school because of the interest bearing on that account, keeps buying the college credits at that lower rate. That's how that account works. That's why we chose the 529 account, because it works that way. Anyway, so that's a really good thing. There's the link. Duracell puts it in the chat there. So it's a great cause, right? It's for a kid, obviously. And you know me, right? I love the direct help, right? This is going like literally that your money goes into that account. It goes right to her for school. Like it's a beautiful thing. And so it's a direct help. The thing we do for Crash for the Cure, same thing. Like it basically goes right to buying a dog. I should show you the picture of the dog. Oh, hold on. I got to show you this, guys. Actually, I'll show it to you in the next update when I get to. You'll love this. I got more Moochie pictures for you to see. You're gonna absolutely die when you see this dog. Anyway, they're crushing that. So thanks for all that work, and thanks again everybody for being such a great community and so generous with your time, to play and your money. Jacob from Wager Me This is running a series. Now he's going to probably, I haven't talked to you, I'm sure he's going to back off craps a little bit soon because he's got football. Right now it's football season. He's going to be all in on the research. So he's put a series of stuff out on playing 160 across at all these different ways, right? Which is fantastic. I love it. I'm actually going to try and take some of those ways of playing and incorporate them into Daily Paycheck. We're going to use some of those theories on the DPC show as we start transitioning from trying to make the 100K into playing at more normal size levels and getting our play style sort of, etched in. Great. You got to watch his stuff. Jacob is one of the best minds out there in craps. Not so much like this, whatever, well thought out strategies. He just is a player, right? He's a craps player. And I think that's an important thing to distinguish, right? Good dude. Anyway, great series. Got to watch that. The other update that's personal for me, and again, I may cover more of this later, but one of the reasons I went to Vegas for the last couple of days, besides to do with Heavy's birthday party, was really to meet with David and Alex at CQ. So we had a great meeting. I went over there and hung out at the new facility, which now is open. The new dealer training center is open for business. It's really cool. They got the big dealer floor out there where all the training's happening. There's a player side. So they basically cut the place in half, which is pretty cool. Like, not half, it's probably 2/3, 1/3. And 2/3 of it is where they're training their dealers on this one. It's enormous where that happens. Then you come in this other room and there's a roulette table. There's a 3-card poker table, I think, a craps table, of course. And that's where players get trained. So you want to come in there as a player and get training. You go on that side and you work with the coach who teaches you how to play roulette and all the different, whatever games. And that's on that side. And then of course they have they actually have offices now. Like before, David's office was like, his desk was in the middle of the floor, like, in the old place. Now it's like set up for this, and they're actually building out like a little, like a filming center, which is pretty cool for the channel. So they're really growing up, and they're growing up in cool ways. So I had a great meeting with them to talk about what it looks like for me to be with them. And that's going to happen. I think we're talking pretty strongly about what does it look like for me down there and what's my plan going to be. So, I'm thinking about a lot of things, right? About what does the day job situation look like and how does it mesh in to do it? Because I really want to retire this way. I've been talking to you for 3 years about this, right? Retiring as a dealer, whatever. It turns out I'm an okay teacher and I articulate well. People notice that. And my love for the game, I think, hopefully, kind of comes through a little bit. So what David wants to do is help harness some of that. So we're going to train me as a dealer because I want to get good hand skills anyway. I want to have the good dealer hands. We're going to go and have me train with him, work at somewhere, whether it's Palace Station, whether it's the Horseshoe. I'd like to work at the Horseshoe, a Caesar's property, just because I want to be a strip dealer, right? Only because I think it's important that I do it. And what that looks like is probably dealing weekends for a few months, right? I'll train with him for a little while. I'll deal weekends for a few months and just, fly down there, deal, fly back home. And even if it's a zero sum, right? If it costs me $300 to go down there and I make 500 in tips, whatever, it's like going to school essentially, right? But once I've done that over the winter and I have dealt live games in Vegas, now I'm official dealer, right? Then I can teach dealing. And I think David and Alex see me as a teacher over there at some point. Maybe in retirement I come back and teach, but in the short term, we're thinking about having me do some clinics for them. And what a clinic looks like is this. Not unlike what Heavy and these guys do, Heavy and Bo Parker and Ed and all the guys that do these clinics, but it'd be a Casino Quest thing. Like it's a Saturday. Picture this, beginning brand new. I never played before. Player comes in. I teach them roulette, blackjack, and craps, an hour each, right? And we film it, right? There's cameras everywhere, so you film the learning session with the people, right? Then we go walk up the street to Palace Station, and Palace would provide us with tables to play on where we can film them playing their first ever live games. And we take, they get their money and they play, and I play with them. And of course, that gets filmed. They can film themselves learning it, film themselves playing for the first time, and they leave the day with training, live play, and a video to capture it all. That's what we're kind of thinking about, right? Something like that, like a player immersion experience for a new player. And I'd like to have David and them want me to have something to do with that, whatever that looks like. So a little bit of that, a little bit of dealing, a little bit of doing some podcasting with him, and we'll round it all out. And we'll basically do a thing where I'm there for either a weekend, the full week, and the weekend, right? And do that once a month. So it's 2 weekends a month, or I just fly down every other weekend, right? So we'll figure out how it's going to look, but that's coming. Negotiating like when do I start? Like, how does it look? All that stuff has to happen, but that's kind of what's on tap. So I think we're going to do something in the very near future. You'll start seeing me more and more on their channels and that kind of thing. They're huge supporters of Craps for the Cure, right? And so it's a really good marriage, right? Also, as you know, I'm a Premier Casino host, and I'm going to be approved finally soon. And Premier, our properties, our station properties, right? And Caesars properties. That's our primary, and Penn Gaming. But really, it's primarily in Vegas. It's Station and Caesars. Penn more nationwide. Casino Quest and Station also have a very tight marriage, right? So you're looking at like working through Casino Quest with Station, working with Premier through Station. There's a really good synergy there with all of that. So I think it's all going to work out pretty well and be a nice life diversion from the day work, and eventually we'll morph into that. Eventually we'll slide in and that'll become the primary thing. So that's the update there. It's going to be something cool. It's not well defined yet, but we're talking about it. I think it's going to be something fun for us. Anyway, let's jump into what's next over here. And here's the schedule, right? We just did the, I crossed out the wrong thing. Big AZ is coming up next. October 17th, 18th with Big AZ. That's the next trip. And the 19th, 21st for Craps for the Cure. Those are the next two back-to-backs. They are just a week. I'll be in Vegas for the week, basically. I'm going to come like Wednesday, whatever that, I think it's the 16th, and stay through Monday, the 22nd or something. So that'll be a longer Vegas trip. That'll actually be a lot more gambling than I did this past time. Couple of cruises coming up. Of course, Brownwater Bash and DiceCon in June. And then, like we just talked about, weekends at CQ. I'll be doing a lot more live play, which is great. We need to get live play. And the nice thing is I can film those sessions and publish them, right? So that'll be part of the thing is like when we do these teachings and we play live, you'll get to see some of the live play and we'll have this like a CQ live experience, right? Which will be really cool. And again, it's one of those things that I'm looking forward to getting more involved in. All right, quick update here on Daily Paycheck. If you didn't catch the show this morning, hey, Brian's here. Good morning, Brian. Good to see you. We have to talk one of these days, man. Daily Paycheck today with no bueno. No bueno today. We got killed. Here's the thing. You know this, right? And I told you we were 9-1 in August, right? We're not going to be 9-1 every month. It just ain't going to happen, right? And you take the big losses sometimes, right? You take the big swing, right? To make a couple of grand, you lose 5. Make two, lose 5, right? Hopefully it's make two, lose 5, right? Not like 2-1 like we did here. Not a good rate, right? You need at least 3-1, 4-1 to make this thing work. Today was a perfect example of why Garrison, for example, says all right side bettors die broke, right? He says that. I'm going to show you my play here from the weekend. And today's play is exactly the reason why right side betting sucks for the most part, right? When you go out there and you say, I'm going to go out with X amount of dollars buy-in, X amount of the table, and I need, we're going to press, click, and do all this shit, right? And hope for a good roller. And if you get a good 8, 9, 10 roller, you're going to make your paycheck and that's going to be it. You cannot survive that way. You just can't survive that way. Some days you get out of the gate on a good roller and you make money. Today was a day where we could have done it. Today was a day I had my first roller was like a 9 or 10 roller. Would have done it if we had just stuck to the plan, right? I tried to play a little too conservatively, right? And we did make a profit early. We went back out again to make extra profit, got beat. And guess what? Got beat. And before you know it, you're playing from behind, catch up all the time. It's almost impossible to win that way. Couple of hits early and being done is the way to get the paycheck done, right? Grinding it out, praying for a good roll ain't going to happen. Playing bankroll style grind, Wayland's way, right? Smaller bets, but building them up and using your bankroll to kind of be the hammer is a way to get it done too. But it's a 60, 70, 80 roll grind versus a 2 rolls and go home thing, right? So it's the impact on your bankroll is the same. You go out there with 35% of your bankroll for 2 rolls, or you're going to go 35% deep in your bankroll over 40 rolls. It's the same impact. It's just a matter of how you want to experience that, right? It's a really important thing to see. So today was a good example, right? We went across, got a hit, weren't at profit, right? Regressed all the way down and sat there, right? I could have called it a day with a $1,300 win and been done, right? But the goal was 2,000. So I went back out there again with half of the 1,300 and we burned it. Then I went out there again, 2,500 and burned it. And then I did it again. That's what happened today, right? Because again, you're chasing a good roll and there's no recovery from PSOs and they're going to happen. And it seems to me like they come in bunches. There's no math behind that, but it feels like they come in bunches. When you get one, whoo boy, you can't run from it sometimes, right? And that actually happened to us over the weekend. So today's a good example of the way not to go for a paycheck. You cannot just put it out there and just go, please shooter, save me, right? You got to go out there, bam, bam, and be done. Other ways of play are more for longer sessions, hopefully. So anyway, that's my update today on the paycheck. It was a good, fun day, but again, the 2100 salute gets beat. That strategy's 13-6, right? Which isn't a terrible winning percentage, but it's one of our worst strategies profit wise, right? It's been a net negative for me kind of the whole time, and it just doesn't win. The problem with that strategy is that you typically take a hit, and then got to keep playing versus the drawdown where it's hit, and you're done. It requires too much after the first couple hits to make it work, and it's becoming a what do we call it? A drain on my soul to play that way. Even though I like the strategy, it's more of a drain than the drawdown is. So anyway, there's the paycheck update, and let's talk Craps for the Cure really quick. Nothing you'll see changes here other than this. David is going to talk to his buddy. Now, David from Casino Quest, his best friend, is the GM over at Palace. He's talking to him about not so much filming, because you cannot live stream, by the way, from a table. They won't let you live stream. We can film, but we can't live stream, which changes things a little bit for us, right? We're not going to be able to do the live table check-ins that I wanted to do, which makes it, we'll have people playing there. We can have a reporter on the scene talking to people, but they can't be kind of at the table. That's going to be the one bummer. Crapsy, the same thing. We can't do Crapsy live. You can't be at the table with your phone typing in rolls. We'll never let that happen. There's nothing to stop somebody from relaying the rolls to somebody else. You can be texting the rolls to somebody else who's typing the rolls in, right? As long as you're not like at the table, doing it, they'll frown at it. So we will have a live Crapsy. It won't be a live Crapsy with a camera and like what I wanted. You're just limited by things, right? The casino just won't let certain things happen, but we will have there. So it's going to happen in some smaller kind of way. Anyway, the raffle items are pretty much figured out. The cruise, I'm still working through the logistics of that. Somebody else has stepped up and they want to actually do something really cool. I got the logo yesterday. The new logo is the same as last year's, but 2024. So the new logo's here. I'm going to pass that around so folks who need it can use it for building stuff or whatever else. That's happening. Talked to Garrison. We got the magazine lady, Casino Player and Slot Player. They're donating a bunch of subscriptions. They're doing a big write-up on us for this thing. So that's going to really help, I think, boost things up. And of course, the good folks at Casino Tiers are offering a pro pack for us. So it's coming together pretty good. Heavy is locked in. I talked to him this weekend. He will be on a segment with us for sure. Dice Coast Bo Parker will be with us. David and Alex both will be there for Craps for the Cure. It's going to be great. I was talking to David about this, what I want to do for his segments, and let me know if this sounds good to you. You can say it in chat if this sounds good. Do you believe, or would you like to see me and David work some strategy stuff instead of just dealing stuff? And what I was thinking was specifically, I've had this idea in my head to do some videos for Pro Craps where it's basically like 4 or 5 ways to play the 5 and 9. And ways to play the 4 and 10, like just not so much a strategy, but like here's different cool like rhythms you can do on different number sets. And I was going to work with David on that. Like let's just work on the 5 for an hour. Let's just press the 5 and play the 5, and just that, and then do another one where it's just the 4 or 10, right? And like 5 or 9, 4, 10. Just look at some ways to play those numbers. And like I say to you all the time, what I call the Philly special is just my favorite ways to play those numbers individually, right? And this is a way for us to kind of teach all the cool permutations and like, hey, that's the one I like the best. And you can pick and choose the way you like to play the 4 and 10, 5 and 9, whatever, and incorporate that into your play. Anyway, I think that's what I want to do with him is more strategy stuff. And that's going to be there. I'm also working through getting, through David's connections, somebody from Palace Casino Credit, somebody from Palace, either a boss or a box, to come talk to us about how they do ratings and how comps really work behind the scenes. I want to get some inside baseball if I can from these guys. So he's working his connections to really help us out there. Yes, there are some pressing sequences or regressions and that kind of thing. So like here's 5 different ways to play the 5. or 9. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And like, because some people have different risk tolerance, right? Like you go from a $25 9, right, to a $35 9, 50 for one. Next hit, take it to 75. That's one way. That's the heavy way. That's the way people play the 5, right? You can go from 25 to 50, take 75 for 5, and go back down to $10 and put $100 in your rack, right? That's another way to play the 5. And I think you could look at those two ways side by side and go, that's interesting. Like one way racks me 100, one way racks me 50, but I'm back out there at different levels, right? What do you want to do? You want to rack early, or do you want to hit the thing? And yeah, different starting levels. That's what I'm thinking, Darcel, and have really, he's done many on it, but we've never done a video on just a number, right? So I can picture doing David a couple hours with 4 and 10, 5 and 9, right? And I think that'd be kind of fun. And I think our interplay would be good. David's really excited about working with me. He's like, you're like my Ed McMahon. Like we can really play off well each other. He's like, I got the dealing experience. You have the player experience. It'd be fun to kind of like, like go not head to head, but like you can ask me questions of what I've seen, right? And like it's going to be good. And that's what I'm thinking about. That is do some different sort of rhythms in there and see what people like. Anyway, that's part of the plan there. So let's think about things you'd want to see in some of these shows, right? Like what do I talk to Dice Coach about? Or Heavy? Heavy, I'll tell you this. We'll go into his birthday party here in a minute. Heavy's storytelling is fantastic, right? So he's such a, I mean, I could have him on for 5 hours probably, right? Great dude. Anyway, here we go. Dory's got triple Lux, the double tap, all the different ways, right? We certainly do love to talk. All right, here's my weekend game. It was not a great weekend. And here's the deal. I flew in on Thursday night and I played right away. So you'll see here the $75 on craps was actually Thursday night. That was a 5-hour session. So I flew in, checked into my room, went downstairs, got on the table. There was Heavy was there. And we played together for the first time. It was kind of cool. I didn't really talk to him much because it was, busy table. Anyway, I won $75 that night. And that was a night where it was up and down, up and down. I was there for 5 hours. We got crushed. There was a period of time where no matter what I tried, and you know this, right? You're at a table long enough, it's going to just suck your bankroll. I was down to my last like $75 and I put $30 6 and 8 out there. And Rick Farmer was the thrower, and hits the 6, hits the 8, hits the 6, hits the 6, and so I got them both my money back off the table on the first hit for both of those things. Got the 5 and 9, and we started building it out. He never hit a 4 or 10, which was great, and I went from the $75 to being up 150, which was like a miracle. I get the dice next. I go out there with my whatever. I forget what I even had, $50, whatever. I pass line, ATS, and inside play. Made a few hits. I think I rolled like 10 times, and I was one away from one leg of the ATS on that one. I needed the 5, I think, or something. Anyway, 7 out, colored up, $75. After 5 hours and being down to my last $75, that win was a big, awesome, right? I'll take that. The next morning, Friday morning, I came down and I knew I was going to meet with David, and I was thinking, come down to a coffee run, right? We'll come down to a coffee run. That was my thinking, and it wasn't happening because there was, for Heavy's birthday party, we're here for the birthday bash. There was like 60 people. I think he had 53 people signed up to come, and like another 15 people showed up, right? It was like 70 something people, or whatever it was. Come down in the morning, that table at 5:30 or 6 in the morning was full and 3 deep. No getting on it. No getting on the table. It's like, what the hell, right? So I'm watching, I'm waiting, I'm talking, and we're just, and literally I'm just walking the table. And because again, I'm part of Premiere, right? I'm talking, I'm, kissing babies and shaking hands, right? We're doing the thing. But I couldn't play. Roll over to the Bubble Crafts machine and just tinkering around with dumb shit on Bubble Crafts, right? I actually won $140 on Bubble Crafts. Again, just pennies, just sitting there with pennies, playing around, trying different stuff out, and had a couple of really nice runs on it. That Bubble Crafts is weird how it goes. But I had a little hardware parlay that worked out and won some money there. Go to Roll to Win. And I think I played Roll to Win like 3 times that day. So all the sessions were like $90 on the first day. Friday, I didn't play at all. Friday after that morning, I went over to Casino Quest and hung out all day long. Came back Friday night, and again, the tables were extremely packed. Couldn't even get on. They had, and there was a lot going on. First week of NFL, there was a UFC fight in town. Minimums were up pretty high, and we were 50 people deep on 3 tables. There was no way to play, so I just didn't play that night at all. Hung out and did some things. We watched the football game, which, by the way, was great. The football game. Oh yeah, it's not rigged. Bubble Crafts is not rigged, but it does hunt you down. It totally finds your bets, man. But anyway, we watched the football game on Friday night, the Eagles game, and man, that was fun. I watched that game. I'll come back here in a minute. I watched the game with Rick Farmer, who's from Philly. And if you don't know Rick is his arms weigh more than I do. He's a big freaking dude, right? And it was great. Like watching Eagles games with Eagles fans is like, that's bucket list stuff. It's just so fun, right? We're in this bar and it was just great. When the Eagles won, right? We in the bar start singing "Fly Eagles Fly." And if you from Philly, you know what I'm talking about, right? We're doing that. The entire casino does that, right? Everybody at the tables just stops playing and it's "Fly Eagles Fly," right? The whole casino is singing the damn song. All the Green Bay fans are pissed. It was fucking awesome. It was that was worth the trip. It was worth the trip to sing that song at a casino and see the tables just stop playing and everybody go crazy, you know? It was awesome, right? Totally cool. But the rest of the weekend was great. Like on Friday, after spend the day at Casino Quest and having dinner with David and Dennis, we went to a great Italian restaurant, talked through logistics about what it looks like for me to come work with them and all of that. That was a great night. It was really awesome. Come back and got to hang out with Heavy a little bit that night and got to talk a little bit. Saturday then became the real thing, right? On Saturday, Heavy ran some classes. He ran at a different casino school. He ran classes, and I started Saturday. I went out to 10 Ton's house. I'm not going to tell you much more about him. I can't really share a lot, right? But because I'll let him tell his own story and show his face and tell you his name. But anyway, I went over to his place because he was getting his table delivered. He bought a new craps table for his place. And the way where he lives, his old one, there's no way to get it in. So he bought a new one, and Kelly built it. And y'all know Kelly, he builds tables. And so of course it comes in pieces so it could fit in. Anyway, I was helping them kind of construct the table, get it set up, and we christened his table. And I have a view from his room. I don't know if let me look here, camera. I'm gonna look at some photos. I think I can show it to you. Let me take a look here. I got a couple of pictures I can probably share. Yeah, there's some pictures here I can share you. Hold on. Let me, how do I do this? Like, is there a way to, let's see. Let's see if I do this and that. Oh, there we go. Okay. Let me share my screen. Can you see this? These are not the greatest pictures. Anyway, I'll show you. I took like 5 pictures when I was there. This is my wife's, by the way, I told you, Kathy, my wife plays video slots. Palace Station, all the video poker is here. That's where all the video poker is. Every video poker machine in Vegas is in Palace. There's Rick, like loving, right? Look at that. That's at the end of the game. There is a 10 Tons table. It's a white table with the lights on it, and that's the view from where he lives. That's not a bad view. And if you look out that window and straight down, it's turn 1 of the Formula One race, right? So that's his table. That thing is fantastic. What a great view. Got to christen the table and throw with those guys. Look, there's Heavy blowing his candles out at the birthday party, and he's about to make a speech here. He's cutting his cake. I won't show you the speech, and there's just some other... Oh, there's the lady. Oh, by the way, last night on my plane ride home, I'm waiting to board the plane, and this is what I see. This lady's like hanging out the plane, squeegeeing the windows. Look at that. Squeegeeing the freaking windows. And I'm like, I hope you put that back on the right way. Anyway, and of course, I flew home. I call it Riff Raff Air, Riff Raff Airline Spirit, which was fun. It's a $60 flight, right? It cost nothing, but it was an experience being on that plane. Anyway, Hanging out with 10 Ton was awesome. He's a different player than most of us are. Okay. And also, like my friend, who shall not be named, also a different player than you probably think he is, right? 10 Ton plays a higher bankroll than most of us do. And he plays it what looks to be aggressive. And I'm going to do a show this week, kind of on that play style. He's actually, although he's playing with multiple black chips, right? It's a conservative way of playing. It's a different kind of regression. He looks at the game a different way. We had a great talk about, again, how we each played the 5s and 9s, and that's why I got the idea to talk to David about it. We had a great talk about strategy and mindset, and he asked me this question, and I'm going to ask you this question right now in chat, everybody in chat. And by the way, Ivan was cool. I had a good time hanging out with him too. And Ivan and I shot together. We actually played later on. I'll come back to the story about that. But yeah, 10 Ton had a great talk about the way we play, and he asked me a question, and I kept talking about low rollers, low bank rollers, right? He's like, what does that mean? Like, what does it mean? And he knows what low money is, but he's like, what does it mean to be a low bankroll player? What's the difference between somebody like me who's buying in for X, right, and has a way of doing it, and somebody who's buying in for 500 and playing at the $10 level? Because it mathematically no difference. 5,000 and 500 are the same thing, just a zero at the end, right? Your bets are just equally sized. What's the difference? And I'll tell you, David from Casino Quest will tell you this too. At the high-end casinos, at the Bellagio, at Caesars, at all these places, right? At the Wynn, it's a different game, right? Craps at a high level, craps at the black and purple level is a different game than our level, 1,000 and below. It's played differently, right? The goals of the players are different. I don't want to say, this is going to sound bad, their respect for money is different. Okay. To them, money is a tool, right? When you've got that kind of money, money is a tool. People who make money in the stock market, they use money as a tool to make more money, right? They can withstand loss on the way to doing that, where the rest of us really can't. We can't, like, you know what I mean? When I roll up with $3,000 and I buy in for $1,000, if I lose the $1,000, that's a third of my money, right? Somebody else who's buying in for 10 and is backed by 100 can lose $500 and just go, okay, that was a bullet. So what, right? Mindset of the bigger bankroll and the smaller bankroll is different, and our goals are different. Our goals are both to make money, but one player uses money as a tool to make more money. One player does not. And I think when I break the mindset down, that's an important thing. I think that's the session I want to have at Craps for the Cure. I want to talk to 10 Ton about that. And I want to actually bring in some other high rollers and talk high roller at that show, with David kind of leading some of that, because he's dealt to it. And he's said the game is different at that level. It's the same game. Here, let me go back a screen. At Caesars lost 775. You see that big loss in the middle there? That was what killed me for the weekend. We went out, all of us went to Caesars, got on a $25 table, and they raised it to 50 partway through, right? So you're playing at bigger levels, right? And I regressed, and the dealer looked at me like I was from fucking Mars. Like I did. I was 220 in, right? I pressed, and I went back down to 160 across. Like, you're going backwards, dude. Like, he was shocked that I would regress. Like, nobody ever regresses at Caesars, right? That's just not the way high bankroll guys play, right? For me, I'm like, I got to get the hell out of this hand, and then we'll go for the thing, right? They don't play that way, and they don't deal that way. It's just interesting mind shift when you're playing at different levels, right? And it's good. People ask me all the time, John, how do you have things to talk about? That's how you have things to talk about. That I can talk about that experience now for a week, because it is a different game. It is a different game. Anyway, I lost 775 at Caesars, came back, won some back on Roll to Win, once more back on Bubble, never got back on the live table at Palace, ever. It was just 3 players deep the whole time, never got to play. So my net for the weekend was down. I wasn't really there to play. I was there to hang and do the thing. So yeah, Casino Tears in real life, fantastic. 10 Ton, one of my favorite people. He and I are like brothers from another mother. Like, we have this literally like the same history, right, of our lives, right? He has done everything better than me. I joke with him about that. we've been to Jersey, we've both been in Michigan, we both played in bands, right? He's in marketing, advertising. I went to school for that. Like he's in advertising. I went to school for it and fucking failed out of college, right? So like he did that better. We both were in bands. We both played bass. His band toured. My band broke up because my drummer was a drunk, right? Like, but and so like it's like he's got this like, and we're the same age. He has better tattoos than I do. I love him. He's such a great guy. Anyway, that was cool. I got to watch Heavy teach, which was great. And Heavy teaches like I teach. And again, you find people in your life that you didn't know were in your life, right? And for all of you who have heard me teach now for how long? How long have I been teaching you now? 3 years, right? You should know how I do it now. My students, my coding students know this too. I paint pictures all the time, right? My math friends ask me, why do you always do it with the chips on the table? Why do you always teach people math with stupid examples? I'm like, because I think people think in pictures, right? If I just gave you formulas, you'd go to sleep. But if I tell you, I don't know, a guy and his 2.5 wives and whatever, I mean, you can picture that stuff and it makes things make sense. Heavy the same way. Heavy teaches in pictures. He's 75 years old. The guy's got stories on top of stories on top of stories. And he's a big old Southern guy who can tell a story. And if you've ever met Heavy or hung out with him, you know what I'm talking about. The guy can spin a yarn better than anybody. It's worth the money to take a Heavy class, right? Not just to learn how to hold and throw, not just to learn how to bet, although he's a great bettor and a good player, right? Obviously. He tells the story as he goes. We're going to play the 4 and 10 this way. And he does the same thing I do. He does the 4-10 flip, right? Take the 25, get paid 50, 50 becomes 25, 100 becomes 50. He does the same thing, right? Let me tell you a story about why I do this. And he goes in and he sits back and he starts going about, I played with some dumb old son of a bitch down in Mississippi, and he's gone. And you're just like, everybody's locked in, and he's got this great story, and he just goes at it. And at the end of the story, the guy wins $1,000 or whatever, $5,000. It doesn't matter. Stories always end well, and it's fucking awesome. I could listen to him all day long. So when he's on Craps for the Cure, just like hit record. It's going to be the best hour because he's so damn good with the storytelling. That was worth the flight with the riffraff on Spirit Airlines just to hear the stories. Honest to God, it was just hearing the stories was awesome. And also because we were in this tight group, right? Made a bunch of new friends. It was great. We had, I don't know, like I said, 50 people there. I got to hang out with almost everybody. I'll forget everybody's name, I'm sure, but it was cool to shake hands with people and like meet a bunch of new people who know of me, but don't know me, who aren't part of our community, but have been around the outside of our community. It's really cool, right? So, Tenton and I did it. We closed the weekend yesterday afternoon. After 4 or 5 hours at Heavy's seminar, we had our own seminar. We held a seminar on what it's like to be a YouTuber and a podcaster. Like, what equipment do we use and all that, the story behind our channels and why we do what we do. And it turned into this treatise on the state of craps in our community. And we kind of really looked at it like, there are people out there, and this may offend somebody, and I don't mean it to be offensive. So if I'm offending you, that's on you, not me. There are people out there who do YouTube channels or podcasts for the purposes of making it a business. Okay. And specifically, there's a lot of slot channels where these guys are out there with their little GoPro on and they're playing slots and they're showing all their wins and blah, 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 right? They're doing it to make money. They're social influencers, right? They're trying to make money by doing the gambling thing, right? There are people out there who have channels that are specifically created, thumbnails, content, presentation, the whole thing, right? To build audience, right? To grow the game, sure, but to build audience and make this a thing, right? There are people out there who are doing this to feed lessons, to be feeders into their program, right? That's a reason to do it. There are people out there, and I put myself in this last category, that are just doing it. Like, I'm always about the community, right? I grew up online in communities where you had discussion forums, and we learned how to do search engine marketing and how to do coding and all these things. And that's where I learned my trade, online forums and communities and groups. To me, that's always been the best enjoyable thing. I looked at craft the same way, try to build us through community, meetups, and that kind of thing. I'm not looking to make money at this, right? I'm lying. I will want to make money from this. I'm going to have a job teaching crafts at some point, right? But that's not why I did the channel, and that's not what the channel's purpose is. And we looked at that and said, yeah, it's interesting. You got a slice of people who are just making videos to make videos and grow audience. You have some people that are making videos to teach and grow the game. Some people making videos to feed their own thing, right? This is the introduction to me. Come take courses. Or this intro to me. Come do this, right? The traveling roadshow. Come to my cruise, right? Where videos are feeders to what they really do, right? And there are those who the videos are who they are, right? And it's like, what is your identity as not a YouTuber, but as a person? Like what? And I told the story. Like the most impactful thing to me was when I first met Jeremy from Color Up, and he said to me, "Hey, what do you want to be? Like what is your channel's goal? Number one, what do you want to be known as?" Right? And I said right there, I said, I do not want to be another Jeremy. I don't want to sit out here and run a bunch of freaking strategies all day long. You already do that. I can't do it as good as you anyway. And that's not what I'm about, right? I wish somebody would have taught me stuff when I was younger, so I didn't waste money and time when I was growing up, right? I ground for so many years because I just didn't know any better, right? I want that. And he's like, well, then that's what you got to be. But he said, now know that you're going to have a smaller audience, right? Ryan from Mark the Point will tell you. So will Dice DJ. And you put out a video called The Best Way to Play 160 or Turn 160 into 1,000. That video is going to get 10,000 views and 500 new subscribers. You put out a video that says how to manage your money as a gambler, and you get 60 people watching it, right? Nobody gives a shit about most of the things I talk about, but it was important for me to get it out there, right? That's what I wanted to be known as. I think I've accomplished the goal, right? Now, we talked about this at the seminar. What's your goal now? My goal now is to be the shepherd of the community, right? I want to play more, right? I think I'm kind of done teaching. I want to use this show, this platform I've got to kind of share this kind of stuff, right? Tell stories, do the thing. You know what I mean? Teach over here, have this be more of a let's get together every day kind of a thing. And I think that's you find out what's important to you when you do this for a long time. It was a great session. We had a great back and forth. It was supposed to be an hour. We went 2 hours and had tons of great audience questions. It was really, really awesome. We had so much fun. So that's the weekend in review. Negative on the money, wasn't really there to play and couldn't anyway, just too damn busy. The one night I really played hard was at Caesars, and we got absolutely murdered. That night, though, I will tell you, I threw really well. I will say this. I threw twice on the big table, on the real table at Palace, both times over 10. At Caesars, I had the dice 3 times. It was, I think, a 9, a 13, and then a 3. Like I had one bad roll over the weekend. But the funny thing is, and I say this all the time, and I got to apologize to Heavy for this. This is going to sound so cocky, and I'm so sorry for this. My throw, I'm a good thrower, right? I'd like to be known as a consistent thrower. Let's put that out there. I want to be known as a great bettor and a consistent thrower as a craps player, right? I don't need to be known as the hero thrower, right? I don't care if I ever get a Fremont hat. I'd like one as a badge of honor, but I don't need one. I don't need a jacket. I don't need to be on the wall. I would like to go to the casino with you all. And every time we're on the table, every one of you says, you know what? John's got the dice. I'm going to go 320 across for 3 hits, and I know he's going to get it. I want to go out there. And I had a guy. Every time I had the dice, 640, 640, 640. Right? Boom. Made money. Every time. Right? 5 out of 6 times I threw, it was over 10. Loads of box stuff. I want to be that guy. Right? Anyway, people watch my throw. And I'll say this to you. This is the cocky part. On my daily paycheck, you can't see the throw. Like I try to show it. Like you can see my fingers. You can see the dice from behind, and you see them smack and scatter. Right? You really can't see what I'm doing. It's hard to get good camera angles. There, at the table, when I was throwing, you hear, oh, here comes the chopper guy, right? And everybody gathers around because they all want to see it because they've heard, whatever. So I'm at the table at Palace, and here comes like, besides the ones that are there, like 10 people crowd around. They want to see the throw. Okay, fine. I do the thing. Have a good roll. And next day, go to the seminar, and Heavy's teaching over on this one table, and I'm over here. Guy's giving a throwing tune-up lesson to somebody else, and I'm just working stick. I'm just helping out, Heavy says time for a break. He needs to get a cigar. Guys got to go pee and stuff. Everybody comes to the table and wants me to give a chopper lesson, right? That's what happens. Every time I throw the throw in a casino and people see it, the first chance they get, it's like, hey, show me how to make that throw. On the cruise ship, I gave chopper lessons every day, right? I didn't give a lesson on it, but I showed people how I do it. Everybody wants to see it. It's such a cool looking throw. I mean, it may not work, right? But it's a cool looking throw. And it just devolves always into like, oh, wow, that was cool. How'd you do that? And we end up having a little class on it. So anyway, legacy wise, I would love to leave my legacy as that, right? We taught everything we could teach. We built a great community, and people want to play with me because my throw is consistent enough that you can bet on me, and I'm fun dude at the table. I think we have a good time at the table. At Caesars, we lost money, but I can tell you, me and 10 Ton and who else was there? We had Ivan there. We had Gary was there, and Kelly was there. We all lost money, but we all had a great time together. It was really a good session. A lot of fun, a lot of high fives. There were some good rolls in there, and it was why you play. This was a literal go to Vegas and burn a grand, right? And just have some fun with your buddies. That was exactly what that table was about. And I don't care that I lost the money. I don't like losing money, but that's what that was the purpose that night. And it was just, I wanted to play with 10 Ton and Kelly and Ivan and Gary so bad, or Glenn so bad, that we did it, right? That was the whole point of that. So anyway, I've got it. JR says, I provide nonstop presentation, little or no dead air. This remains a rarity. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? I don't know if it's a good thing. John won't shut up. I don't know how I do it. Anyway, I enjoy this. And like I said, I can take a weekend like this, right? And I've got a week worth of content now, right? Based not just who I talk to, but like some of the things that I kind of like epiphanies that I have here and there, right? Like transitioning to the $25 game, right? The mindset change is different. And we're all us low rollers, right? And I put myself in that category. I'm a teacher. I don't make a lot of money, right? We're hunting down the $10s and the $15 tables. We're working regressions. We're trying to do our thing, right? When you play in a world where that's not a thing, you're like, okay, the world's different over here. Like it's definitely different, right? When you go from working hourly in restaurants, like I grew up working in restaurants, to working in tech, there's a difference to it, right? The houses you live in, the cars you drive, it's different. The way that you worry about paycheck to paycheck versus not being paycheck to paycheck is a different life, right? A lot of us have made that transition, which is cool, right? A lot of us have not made that transition on a craps table yet, or at the roulette table, or at the casinos. A lot of us are still paycheck to paycheck with our bankroll at the casino, which is different, right? And so making that change sometimes has to be a decision. Like I decided to put myself into tech and make something different out of my life, right? To get out of the hourly kitchen thing. Made a decision to do it, and it hurt for a long time, and then it got really good. I think gambling might be the same thing for some people, right? Make a decision. So yeah, our community, I think we're strong in some areas. I think we're weak in some areas, right? But by and large, the way that we come together for Layla's college fund, the way that we're going to come together in about a month to do Craps for the Cure, it's amazing, right? The why behind what we do, what we stand for as a group here, this channel in particular, all my friends that have shows, right? Look at all of them, Jeff, Alfredo, Craig, everybody. The why behind it is a driver. And everybody really in October, we all come here and go right here. We all are in the same groove because we all give a shit the same way about the same things. And ultimately, it's what it's all about. So I think we've done some good stuff. There it is. I think we're good. I think that's it. It's like 8:55. I gotta go to work. Y'all have a good day. I hope that was a fun show. Recaps are always interesting because trying to paint a picture of the room that you're in. Like Heavy's birthday party was at a upstairs Cinnabar at the Palace. It was great. Like 70 people there. They had a great buffet, and he gave us. It was just really a neat thing to be a part of, and I'm just wonderfully happy that I was invited to do it. Like he invited me, that he wrote me and said, "Will you come to my birthday party and will you do a session at the thing, and will you hang out with us?" Like to have Heavy Haltham reach out to you and ask you to come, right? That's really cool. That's like, it's one of those things where like, yeah, you know what? I think I must be doing it right. And I really, I a lot of respect for that guy. And I felt like I got respected, which was really, really cool. So it was a good weekend in that respect. Not a good weekend on the table, but so what? It is what it is, right? We don't always win. I don't do chip porn. You know that. I will tell you, I'll tell you when I grind it out. I'll tell you when I don't. But that's it, folks. I think I'm going to run quickly through questions here. If there are any questions, fine. If not, we'll get on out. Let's see. Only two. Frank, I hate YouTubers who don't announce the dice. Where's who doesn't announce the dice? I thought everybody did that. What I don't like is when you can't see them, right? A lot of times on LFC, you can't see the dice because, they're not YouTubers. They're guys where they got their phone hanging from a, sometimes they're like leaning against the plate somewhere, right? You can't always see them. That drives me nuts only because it's frustrating not to be able to see. But anyway, I'm off. Going to work. You have a great day. Love y'all. We'll talk more about playing craps at the quarter level and leveling up the mindset this week. I want to look at the differences between the low rollers and the quote unquote high rollers this week. And that'll lead us into some better discussions later on. So that said, everybody, I am out. You'll have a great Monday and a great rest of your week. God love you. Bye.